of his death, and I had emailed Darla at Centerstone and asked her if they had a speaker or not for this year's event, because now this year is his 20th year on November 6th, 1998. One of the things that I thought of is, and I'm thankful for the table that had all of the beads, because I asked Darla, I said, well, what would you want me to talk about, right? I'm not just a survivor for the fact that my father decided to take his own life. I myself have attempted multiple times in my life as well, and there's a reason I keep surviving. And it's not just the times that I have tried to commit suicide. I've been in multiple car accidents. I recently had back surgery, and I keep surviving. And the support that people have, you look around, this is what you need. Whether you've tried to attempt it yourself, whether you've had a friend, a loved one, whether you've had a family, regardless of what your struggle is, there is always support there. I have had people in my life, whether it's been friends, family, or coworkers, who had no idea the struggle that I have. I have smiley faces in my office. I'm always smiling. I'm the most positive person you could probably ever meet in your life. And so the first time I spoke out in front of 750 people at Sutton Park, I had coworkers at Manatee Schools who were like, holy crap, you have problems? It's all in how we handle it, it's all in how we survive. It's all in how we deal with our life story. So with one of my supporters, who has supported me more than probably, a lot of people support me, but my friend Debbie Etheridge is here. She works for Manatee Schools. She's right there in the front, supporting me as always. And today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Debbie Etheridge. I am thankful you were in my life. You are such a true friend, and I'm forever grateful. We've had many wine talks when I'm struggling with something, and she is a counselor at Manatee Schools, and she has helped many people as well. So thank you, Debbie. So everything I just wrote down, I just pretty much really said. I also have support My Life Water. You can usually buy this for $5 at the Marriott if you stay overnight, and I had to do that, so let me have a drink. This is the speech that I prepared. So again, hi, my name is Renee Hayes, and I am no stranger to this life story. It was 10 years ago that I stood on the stage at Sutton Park and for the first time publicly told 750 people that my father committed suicide. Now I stand before you today, 20 years after his death, to briefly tell you a story of my life story. On November 6th, 1998, I started feeling sick at work. At the time, I worked at Bell's Department Stores at the corporate office. Hours were 8 to 5. It was 3. I had 2 more hours to go. And I felt like there was something wrong with me, so after work at 5 o'clock, I pretty much crashed on my couch, which is also unusual because I have insomnia, and I typically do a lot in my life, and I don't lie down, I don't watch TV, I don't do things like that, so I just thought I'm getting sick. Which I still couldn't shake some feeling I had. So hours later, the phone rang. My husband, Chris, answered the phone in the other room, and I sat up because I'm nosy like that. Like, who the heck is he talking to? What's this about? And all I keep hearing him say is stuff like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And so moments later, he came into the living room and just looked at me. And I said, oh no, what's wrong? Is it my sister, Lynn? And he shook his head, no, I'm not. And I thought, is it my nephew, James? My beloved nephew, who had the opportunity to know my father, who was 2 when he passed away. He shook his head no, and I said, my dad. I just immediately knew it was my dad because I helped him before. I knew he had problems, and I knew this time it was for real. Like, I started screaming, and the neighbors thought I was getting beaten up, which would never happen because that would probably kick my husband's butt if he tried to hit me. And blood started pouring out of my nose because my blood pressure spiked. And I was just horrified. I cried. I'll never forget that day. I will never forget the days after, walking like a zombie. My father, Richard David Stearns, felt helpless at the age of 47 years old. He drove around a park in Lakeland, I think it was Lake Parker, around 3 o'clock, which conveniently was around the time that I started feeling sick. They called me an empath. I believe it. For about an hour at afternoon on Friday, according to eyewitnesses, as if he was contemplating what to do. Prior to that, he had actually stayed in a hotel room for a few days. He had already taken care of a lot of his assets. He moved in with his fiance, who he was supposed to pick up on Saturday at the airport. She went back to England. It's one of those things you have to do before you get married and become a resident of the States. And I'm the one that had to call her with the news, talk to her daughter, and say, the neighbor's picking you up, Gene Barnes, not my dad. He parked his truck. He wrote a note. I don't know if he wrote it in the truck. I don't know if he wrote it in the hotel room. But he ended up, to get through it, drank a lot, took a lot of pills, probably knowing what he did, was about to do was something that he knew he shouldn't have done, so he figured if his state would change, perhaps he could get through with it. So he shot himself through his mouth into his head. People have memories of those moments, and I was in a blur. I won't forget going to his fiance's house to pick out his outfit to bury him. In the way back to my sister's house, we got into a head-on collision. Moments before, back when you didn't have to wear a seatbelt, I didn't have a seatbelt on, and something told me to put the seatbelt on. I was a passenger. My sister was behind the driver, and my brother-in-law was the driver. The cops couldn't believe we survived. That was my guardian angel, and he's been for 20 years. I am fortunate that my dad walked me down the aisle when Chris and I got married on April 19th, 1997. I am so sad he wasn't there for the birth of my child. He has no idea. I have an 18-year-old son in college in Boca, FAU. Go Owls. He missed out on so many things in my life, so many of my work successes that I've had throughout my life. Yet, I feel as if my father is always with me. I talk and miss my dad. I talk to my dad every day, and I miss him every day. He's the one who always lifted me up and appreciated everything I did. He was always there for me, and in a sense, I still feel he is. I gained strength through his weaknesses. As I said before, I struggled. Well, I'm still here. I'm alive. I try and look on the bright side of things. I literally stop and truly smell the roses, smell the flowers, look at the sky, look at the palm trees, look at the waterways, drive over a beach, take a deep breath, smell that air when it's not red tide. I do whatever I can to inspire anyone who may be upset or feel helpless, and I encourage them to let problems go into the air like a butterfly. Perhaps the butterfly is proof that you can go through a great deal of darkness and still become something beautiful. I want others to find, if you haven't figured out yet, that I put humor or laugh at myself. So I suggest you do that to yourself too. That's how I survive. And moving through this thing we call life. So thank you for letting me tell just a very small portion of my story. But I beg you, let your worries go, because there's more to your story, too. Thank you for the time. Thank you for coming to the event. And thank you, Centerstone, and everybody who made this possible. And thank you for having me here yet again. My name is Renee Hayes, or the Renee Hayes.